Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We're having our African composer interview with a guest calling in from Ghana. We thank you to anybody who is going to watch this interview live. Apologies for starting slightly late. We had to set some things up. And thank you, by the way, to those who will watch this interview as a recorded interview. Thank you to everyone. I can see we have some people joining us already, so thank you. Without further ado, I will ask our guest composer of the day to introduce himself. Thank you very much for joining us, Debrah. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm Boahene Debrah. And where I come from is in the central region of Ghana, a town called Aguna. That's where I was born. Yes, I lived with my mother for some time, and then later joined my daddy in Kenya, in the Brong region. That's where I had my junior high education, and then afterwards, I proceeded to Apam Senior High School, where I had my secondary education. Actually, I have also lived some part of my life with my auntie in Kaswa. That's where I am mostly based. So mostly I'm in Kaswa, yes. And so I have so many aunties there, but I live with my auntie called, I used to live with my auntie called Mama Diana. That's how we call her. Yes, exactly. And so basically,
no, tell us more. If
yes, those are some of the places I have lived. And talking about my schooling, I completed my junior high school at Kenyasi, where I used to live with my dad. And I proceeded, as I said, to Apam Senior High School. I also went to University of Ghana. Yes, that's where I had my tertiary education. And basically, that's all about me.
Okay. Let's not forget to actually check with you. How are you where you are with respect to the pandemic? Are you okay where you are? Is everything all right?
Yes. With the guidance of the Spirit, I'm safe.
Okay. All right. And you're safe where you are. All right. And
yes,
thank you for the introduction to yourself. You laughed when you talked about your auntie's name. Do you want to tell us the meaning? Why did you laugh?
Oh, there wasn't any meaning. I just like my auntie. That's why.
Oh, that's
yes,
nice.
exactly.
Okay. You talked about your university education. You mentioned that you studied at.
Yes. University of Ghana.
Did you study music composition?
No, I studied mathematics and psychology.
Okay, that's quite a combination.
So I'm a mathematician and a psychologist. Yes.
Okay, that's quite a combination. So we're talking to you today as a Ghanaian composer, and you're also a soloist. So what is the journey between mathematics, psychology, and music composition? Did you study composition at all?
Well, I didn't study composition as a course in school. I read it. I'm someone who likes to read a lot. And that's how my interest in composition arose. I used to read a lot on composition and harmony and other stuff in music. Yes.
So would you have studied composition if you had had the chance? Did something stop you from studying composition, or?
Well, when I was young, I loved music a lot. I was actually born in a family where music was one of the most appreciated things. And so music has been a part of me. My daddy himself is a musician. He's also a songwriter and a song teacher too, yes. That's it. And so we inherited the music from my dad. I developed interest in composition when I was in senior high. But then in the senior high school, you see, you don't have a laptop. By then, we didn't have a laptop and to write the music script of the songs that came. So we just had the inspiration. We just sang them. We threw them away. Yes. But then I remember I had a composition that was titled, that was actually my first ever composition, titled Yemfa Odontenase, which is translated as Let's Live in Peace. Yes, in the English dialect.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, I had that song when I was in SHS 3.
Do you
I was
remember
in
how
the,
old you were?
I think I was around 18. Yes, I would say.
18.
Yeah, 18,
18.
19, I think. Yeah, around
Okay.
the year 2009, 2010. I was around 18 to 19 years. Yeah. That's where I had my first inspiration. A song just came to mind. My so so mi re mi todo so la la fa fa di re do la re. Oh, that kind of song. That's how the song goes. Yes. And so I had this inspiration. I recorded, I put it down, and I meditated on it all the time so that I wouldn't forget because that time we didn't have a phone, we didn't have anything, we didn't have laptops, and we didn't have
So
so many
how?
electronic devices. And so
You said you put it down. How did you put it down?
in
Or did you
writing
record it?
in writing I kept the melody, the main melody, the melodic progression in my mind, and later I was looking forward to bringing the song out one day. Actually, I didn't have any idea. I used to teach music. Yes, exactly. I used to teach the tonic in the school choir. I was once their directors along the line, and when I was in senior high school. And so I used to teach the choir, tonic sofa, hymns, and other choral music. Those times, I think the compositions of James Varikama and Nulav Anam were so much in the system. And
Okay.
so I taught them some of them. And um, with my composition, the composition that I had to keep it with the hope that one day I'll bring it out. And so when I got to the university, um, I developed this interest in writing songs because that time I had a laptop and I knew people who also were writing songs with this app we have. Is it Finale? Yes,
Okay.
Finale. So I had to take one from my friend. One of my best friends, the friend, one of the friends I had when I was in the university. Yes, he's Joel Aju. Yes, he was one of my best friends when we were in the university. And so he gave me the app and then I installed it and I started reading about Finale. And so I had so much insight in the usage of the Finale, and then I started to write my first song, the first song that I had in the secondary school. Yemfa Odontinasi.
So
Yes,
you
that is
went
how the
back
journey started. Yes, I went back. In fact, I
and you were
kept the
able to
song in
remember.
memory. Oh
Oh,
yes, because
fantastic.
I was also always singing the song. I was always singing the song. And I don't think the song has come out yet. It's a very beautiful song, but I have not actually outdoed that song. I'm hoping to do that very soon.
Okay. So it's not
Yes.
yet being performed.
Yeah, it's not yet being performed. Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Do you remember any of the earlier songs as well? Because you said you and your friends used to
Yes.
compose, but you never wrote them
Yes.
down. What's your plan for those ones?
Um, no, I have written them down now. I was
Okay.
saying that I didn't write them down then when I didn't have a laptop.
So
I
you
didn't have
remember
any idea
all of
of.
them?
Oh, I actually had one song. Some of the songs I didn't remember, so I just threw them away. I just didn't remember them. So in case this time I remember, by if the spirit dawns on me and then I remember them, I'll just write them. But
Okay.
then in the university, I wrote so many songs. I wrote so many songs, and as many as 90 songs before I completed the university.
While you were studying mathematics and psychology. This is
Yes,
interesting.
exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
first of all, you said you used to teach and you used to use sulfur notation. So this is interesting. Did you,
Mhm.
where did you pick up this knowledge of sulfur notation?
Well, my father was my first instructor when it comes to music. And so he actually introduced me to the tonic sulfur notation, and I learned the stuff through my various studies in musical composition and harmony and other things in music. Yes,
So you were
exactly.
self-taught as well.
Yes, yeah. I taught myself by reading a lot as well.
Okay. You mentioned you being inspired. You put it in this way. The
Yes.
song just came to me. Uh, can you go a little bit deeper into that, because we would like to know about your inspirations. If you can tell us a
Okay.
little. Is it situations? Is it places? Is it experiences? Food, money,
Yes.
time, air,
Well,
nature?
my compositions are mostly inspirational. I get the inspiration. I'll be somewhere and then the song just comes into mind.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be somewhere and the song will just appear, and then I'll have to get my phone and record the song on it so that I don't forget. And so wherever I am, when I come home, I'll just switch on my laptop and then just start writing them on the stuff. Yes.
Okay. And is it the full song that comes, or just like a chorus or a
Well,
chord?
most of the time, I don't get the full song. So sometimes I get just the first part of the song. My songs are mostly not long, even though I have some very long anthems. Most of them are very short. They
Okay.
are not, yeah. In fact, James Varikama was actually my model as I was coming up. And so I actually followed his trend of composition. And
Okay.
yeah, yes,
Okay. We've interviewed
yes,
him here as well. So it's very interesting to hear about how you get inspired to write a work, a composition.
yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if you can maybe one day when you get inspired, try to perhaps consider, where did this come from? And what can I link this to? Maybe was it something that just happened to me, or a feeling?
Yes,
That's good. That's interesting.
yeah. Sometimes too, I just sit down, I decide to today I'll compose and I'll just compose. A song like um Osaberima is a funky rhythm song, and do do re mi re mi fa mi so fa la 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 so mi do re mi fa mi. Yeah, that kind of song. I just sat down. I said I'll write a song, and then I just started writing that song. Yeah. So some of the
Okay.
songs I just intentionally write them without being inspired.
All right.
Yes.
So we are going to listen to one of your compositions. And
Okay.
after that, after we listen to it, we'll talk about the work. All right.
Okay. Right. All right. That's fine.
No. Give me a minute. Sorry. I'll try this one more time. Apologies, everyone. Just give me 1 minute.
Otoi mamenicho Yesu toi mamote Otoi hocho Otoi mueturo Otoi yawawato Otoi yawawato Otoi mensiasio Otoi mueturo Otoi mamenicho Otoi emuto Otoi mensiasio Otoi emuyetugo Otoi yawawato Otoi yawawato Otoi mensiasio Otoi emuyetugo Otoi mamenicho Otoi emuto Otoi mensiasio Otoi emuyetugo Otoi yawawato
Okay, so that was
Yes. Yes, Udoy.
that was one of your. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's Yes, Udoy.
Yes, so we're
One
doing.
of my favorite compositions. Even though
Okay,
that's not the one I love the most, but it's one of my favorites.
okay. Very interesting to hear you talk about your own composition in that way. So I wanted to find out if you, more about this composition. Is there a backstory to it?
Yes, in fact, life has not been so easy. The journey of life has been a bit tough, um, especially as we have decided to follow Christ. And so sometimes the journey is so rough. and you only look up to God. So sometimes when I consider what the Lord has done and how much He loves me, in spite of all the things that I do, all the things that I commit, He still pardons me for each passing day. I begin to understand the real nature of our God, and so that is one of the inspirations behind which I wrote Yesu Wudo. It's concerning the love of God for us.
Okay.
Yes.
You said it's one of your favorite compositions. So,
Yes.
I mean, there are some, I guess there are people who probably not want to, shall I say, praise their own compositions, but you clearly don't have that. You're clearly very clear about your appreciation for your own works. You
Oh
appreciate them.
yes.
Okay.
There is.
Because there are people
Well,
that
I
you will
don't know.
speak
I don't know
to
how the
and
adage goes.
they won't want to praise or say anything positive about their own works, if I can put it in such a loose manner. But for you, you just said, yep,
Yes.
this is one of my favorites.
Well, yes, exactly.
So it's best to
Um,
be realistic, or is
of course, in fact, if you don't appreciate the things you do yourself, who else should appreciate? And so I must have to love them myself before any other person appreciates them.
all right. So Ghana has talking now about other Ghanaian composers and your relationship with them. Ghana has quite a number of African composers
Yeah, a
or
very
Ghanaian
good number of
composers.
composers.
Is there a community of composers? Are there opportunities for you all to engage with each other?
Yes, yes. I have a couple of composers I've been speaking with most of the time. One of the composers I speak with most, one of the Ghanaian composers I have a very good link with is one composer we call Solomon Apo. So Solomon Apo. He's just like a big brother to me. I mean, we always chat. Mr. Emmanuel Mensah. He's also one of the greatest composers I have ever known in Ghana, as far as composition is concerned. And I used to chat with Mr. Amar too, Mr. Amar, occasionally, yes.
It's James
And
Barikama.
yeah, James
You've
Varikama.
interviewed him
And
here. Okay.
yes, I watched the interview myself. Um, yeah, there are so many of them. There are so many of them. I can't just mention all of them. There are so
Okay.
many of them.
So are there opportunities for idea exchange? Do you exchange ideas? Do you have events? Do you perform each other's works? What's the support system like?
Yes. Um, you see, the choir that performed Yes Wudui,
Yes.
is actually a choir I set up. I established the choir, the Kaswa Youth Choir. I established it in 2016. And I formed the choir on the vision to promote Ghanaian compositions. Not only Ghanaian, but then because we find ourselves in the Ghanaian environment
Yeah.
community, yes, I was thinking of appreciating the works of many of the composers in the country, across the country. And so we used to perform songs written by James Varikama. Yes, in fact, he was the composer whose songs we performed so much because he was my model and my first model, and I was looking up to him. And so his compositions too were so great, and so most of them I had to teach my choir. And so that's about it. And we also learned so many songs written by Emmanuel Owusu, Solomon Apo, and some other foreign composers. Yes, there are other foreign composers. I really like their songs.
Okay. Okay. I think you have a lot of friends who are watching your interview live. You have a number of people watching live, and you have people leaving comments. And somebody's left a comment here. Somebody called Lawrence. He says, "My childhood friend," referring to you. How we used to
Yes.
fight over orange. So he said he used to fight over.
Oh yeah, oh yes.
So you must have had a very interesting childhood and wonderful friends around you.
Oh yes.
Okay, so we are going to listen. I just thought I'd mention that, and because it's among the comments that we've received so far. One of the comments.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to play I think it's pronounced Yesu Reba. Yesu Reba.
Yes, Reba. Jesus is coming.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so I will play that now. Hope
Yes.
everybody enjoys listening to it. Then after that, we'll come back and we'll continue the interview. That was Yesu
Yes,
Reba.
Reba.
Okay, that
Yeah.
was a work for piano, I presume. I don't think he took it from a choral piece and transposed it for piano. I mean, you tell us about that work.
Okay, I think this song I wrote it just this year, um, on Ghana's Independence Day, 6th of March. Yes, that's when I wrote this song. You see, during that time, that is when the coronavirus issue started, and so I was like, "Hey, is Jesus coming? Is that the reason why we are experiencing all these virus issues and other things?" And like, in fact, I became a bit afraid when the virus thing started, because the way people used to talk about it, and when you listen to news, foreign news and other things, how they talk about it, I was a bit scared. And so I was like, the Lord is coming, and so we should try to live upright. And so that is when I was there, and then the song just came, Yes, Reba. Yes, Reba, Bebuya, singing nothing. Yes, Reba, on yeah, so like the translation means Jesus is coming to what judge the whole world, and he's coming with a reward to give to everyone according to his deed. And you should change your habits. If you have a bad habit, whatever, any kind of thing that you are doing that will prevent you from going with Jesus when he comes, you should just throw them away. That is the inspiration behind it. And so it was relating to COVID-19 and the coming of Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you about what you are doing now and if you are composing or if you feel there is a need to record what is happening around you today in the form of music. But you
Yes.
have already,
Yes.
you've effectively
Yes.
already, in a way, done that. And it's
Yes.
really, it's really interesting that we're not only inspired by positive things, we can be inspired by, I guess, negative emotions or what we
Negative
might call
things.
less positive. So fear, worry,
Yes.
concern.
Fear. Exactly.
That's
So.
interesting. Um, did you originally intend it to be for voice because you sang just now and it seems that the work has words as well, lyrics, and
Yeah,
how
it
come it?
has words. Yes. Actually, the pianist that played it is Martin Telstra. I met this man, I think, in the year 2017 or 18. I've forgotten. I think 17 thereabout. 17, 18 thereabout, or 16. Yeah. Um, Actually, when I was in the university, I saw him play Ghanaian compositions. That was the time at which my desire for composition was at
Mhm.
its peak. And so I tried to connect with him. Unfortunately, a friend of mine who was the same friend I was talking about, Joel, he said he had his number. And I said, "Oh, Joel, then why don't we connect with him so that he will play some of our compositions?" This friend of mine, too, was a very good composer. And he gave me the number. I connected with the man, and we started chatting, and then we became very good friends, even though we had not met then. And so he came to Ghana sometime, I think 2018, 2017, thereabout. 18, 17, I think, I've forgotten the exact time, but I
Okay.
met him where he was residing, and the friendship continued. And so he's been playing, he's one of the people who have actually um, made my compositions go far, because he normally plays my song. Whenever I write new songs, he would want me to send him so that he plays them, and that is it. So
Well, that's
he's
good.
played a couple of my songs. I think about 20 or so. He has played so many of my compositions. Yeah.
Yes. If anybody searches for our guest composer on YouTube, yes, you will find indeed the same performer performing part of his works. So what you are saying is he played it on the piano, but it's actually meant for voice. He just played the tune on the piano or the
Yes.
piano
Yes.
part. Okay. The
Yeah.
tune on the piano.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. The
brilliant.
tune on the piano.
Okay. So we've played a composition of yours that was performed by a choir accompanied by a keyboard or piano, and then we have played one that was performed on the piano, but also has
Yes.
a vocal um, aspect to it. So what other instruments do you compose for?
Well, I have not decided to write for instruments yet. Even I have not really had the desire to do that, even though I can do that. And I am concentrating on voice. I mainly deal with voice. I'm a voice trainer, a singer, and so mostly I want to write songs which will be sung and rather than be played. Yes.
Okay, all right. But
Yeah.
we might hear some works from you, I guess, in the future
In the
that
future, I
are
think, yes.
written for,
I'm going
okay,
to work
for
on that.
instruments. Okay, that's good. I
Yes.
mean, yes, people do write what they want to write for, and you've given the reasons why you write for voice. So let's talk about the topic of African composers now, because this is the African Composers platform. And
All
thank you once
right.
again for joining us. There are ongoing conversations, and if you've watched any of our previous interviews, this topic might have come up. The question of an African composer. Who is an African composer? There are those who say an
Um.
African composer is a composer who is an African. There are those who say an African composer is a composer who composes in a particular style.
Okay.
Can you give us your own
So
opinion?
well, yes, my own opinion. I will use will I say grammar? I'll define it on basis of grammar. Is it, when we say African, African is a proper adjective that means that someone from Africa. And so when we say an African composer is simply someone, a composer or a songwriter who is from within the shores of Africa, I think.
All right. Okay, because
we can have American songwriter. We have when I mention a name like Bill Gaither, he's an American songwriter. You get it? Not because he writes in a particular style, but just because he comes from America. And so that's the same thing applying to an African. So when someone writes songs and is from Africa, within the continent of Africa, then he's an African composer. On basis on my own opinion, I think that's who an African composer is.
All right. So this style. So if Africa has different styles as a continent of writing music, these styles can be adopted by anyone. The styles don't have to be used by African composers. It's just that it's an African style or it's a style that has a particular name, for example. Like you have, the fugue, you've got opera, you have these different forms of music. You've got, canons and the like. You've got symphonies, oratorios, all of these. It's not just the people who come from the countries where these were formed who compose in that style. So what you're saying is an African can compose in any style, but the person still remains an African composer. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And is it have you heard any works, or even amongst the ones you've composed, that you would refer to as being composed in a particular style that might be described as being unique to Africa? Or have you heard
Africa? Yes, I have a couple of them. I have an Agbaja rhythm. You see, the Agbaja rhythm is mostly found in the Ghanaian society. So like a song like so you see, in that composition, you will hear drums, you hear conga, you hear so many instruments which are typically within Africa, which can mostly be related to the people of Africa. And so I have some compositions like that. And so we can describe some compositions by certain people as typically African.
Okay, Agbaja rhythm. Agbaja rhythm. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And do you think that is documented anywhere? Because if you remember, before we started this interview, I talked about the importance of record keeping.
Yes, exactly.
Is there a chance that in 500 years' time, the Agbaja rhythm would be described as being from a different part of the world and not unique to Africa or Ghana? So is that documented anywhere?
Well, Agbaja is something I have not really read on Agbaja rhythm. I have not seen any book that talks about Agbaja rhythm. But we in the Ghanaian society, we have something we call Agbaja rhythm. Songs which go in the 6/8 timing. They normally go in the 6/8 time. Not all songs which are written in the 6/8 timing is not all songs written in that kind of timing is an Agbaja rhythm. But then those songs are unique in the sense that you hear them being played as danceable. You get it? They are sung in the danceable form with drums, something like that kind of typically African beats. And so those kind of songs I would describe, or we describe in the Ghanaian society as Agbaja rhythm. But then I have not seen any written document about Agbaja rhythm. I've never come across that. Yes.
And I suppose, I will not suppose anything. What is your opinion about documenting these rhythms, the names of these rhythms? For example, and you can maybe educate me about this. There's this instrument that I see played in certain parts of Africa. I think it's called the mbira.
Mbira.
M-B-I-R-A. It's like a small hand piano.
M-B-I-R-A. Okay.
Yes.
Which country is it particularly
I've seen it
associated with that?
I've spoken to somebody in South Africa who says he uses it to play. He plays
Okay,
it.
okay,
I've also
okay.
seen it outside of Africa. In fact, in the Western world, I've seen people
Oh,
who
really?
own and who sell it. But I think there it's called Mbira or something like that. So it's named differently. But if you look at the instruments, it's like a hand
It's the
piano.
same thing.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's
So
great.
my question about the
It,
Agbaja rhythm
hand
is,
piano.
yes, you see that you hold it like this and just play it.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So it's
yes,
not it's
yes,
not, it's
yes.
not
I've
a
seen that.
piano.
I've
It's
seen
not a
that.
piano. It's got metals sticking up. So you press down on the different metal bars and you hear it
Oh,
produces a
okay.
lovely sound.
Oh, okay.
If I
Wow.
can find it, I'll probably show it here. But
All
that
right.
that, that ties into my question about the Agbaja rhythm. When
Mhm.
something travels, now we cannot tell which direction that particular instrument traveled in, from Africa
Yes,
to elsewhere,
unless
from elsewhere
there
to
are
Africa.
documentations.
Yes, I mean, what is your opinion about putting in the work to document what we think is unique or what we can prove is unique and started and originated in Africa, if that is possible, considering the fact that a lot of the history is not recorded, not written down?
Yes. Um, I think there should be a collaborative work by the various composers in Africa to um, to make efforts to document some of the things that we can boastfully say that they originate from within Africa. So I think this is a collaborative work and cannot be done by one person because it's a vast um, deal of work, and so we need hands, so many hands to work together to document what we think belongs to us.
But someone's got to start it.
Yes, so probably I may be the one to start that.
So the instrument, just to go back to the Imbira, is some people call it the kalimba. I will share my screen very quickly just to show everybody what we are talking about, and in case it jogs
Okay.
your memory as well. So that's the kalimba, some call it. There it is, that instrument. It's designed in different ways. It comes in different forms. I don't know if you can see it.
I cannot see so well. I see
Okay.
it, but then I can't see it so well.
Okay. See if I can zoom in a bit.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Brilliant. So that's the instrument I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Anyway,
Thank
I
you
just
so
thought
much.
no, that's fine. That's fine. So it's, and in some cases where you see it being sold online, they call it the African Imbira, or they try to tie it to Africa. Sometimes it's called the
Oh, okay.
Kalimba. But this is how names change as well. And another the interesting thing for me is in that is it that it's called Kalimba in parts of Africa and Imbira in parts of Africa, or is it that somebody decided to call it Kalimba because they didn't hear
Kalimba.
how it, and they couldn't pronounce it, or they
Yes.
didn't actually hear what the person who introduced them to the instrument said. So a lot of this happens, and we have to be careful that we don't one day find out that Agbaja rhythm has been renamed because someone can't pronounce Agbaja.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, I will
Yes.
leave that. I'll leave that topic. I'll leave that with you to I guess ruminate on and take away with you. But absolutely, any ideas you have or suggestions will absolutely be welcome for documenting things that are emanating and coming out from the continent. Uh, let's talk about, you said you've talked about your fact that you teach, you're a voice trainer.
Yes.
Do you teach
Yes.
composition as well?
Um, well, I've not taught composition in a school. Um, I've taught my friends, some of my younger ones, yeah, composition. But then it's not like something. I teach mathematics in school. I'm a teacher of mathematics.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
So I'm
anybody who
not
did
a
not
teacher
join us,
of composition.
okay, for anyone who did not join us from the very beginning, we are talking to a Ghanaian composer today, and he is a composer and somebody who studied mathematics and psychology at university. So he's got a wide breadth of experience and knowledge, and he teaches mathematics and he teaches um, uh, also voice. He provides training for the voice, the human voice. So it's good. It's good to meet you today. Very interesting conversation we've had so far. You've already mentioned African composers that you admire, Ghanaian composers. What is your knowledge
Yes.
of African composers outside of Ghana? Do you have much knowledge, and have you worked with any?
No, none that I can think of. I've not really met any composer from outside African,
Outside
from outside
Ghana
the Ghana. Yes,
and in Africa?
I see them afar. Yes, because I'm not with them, I see them afar. But yes,
Okay.
the only
Any?
African composer I can say I have met is you.
Oh, okay. Do you have? I mean, you've got this choir. You said the Kasua choir. Is it Kasua choir?
Kaswa Youth Choir.
Yeah, Kasua Youth Choir. Have you got
Yeah.
any plans in the pipeline? You talked about setting up the choir to support Ghanaian composers perform their works, your works. What's your plan for going beyond Ghana now?
Well, currently I'm not with the choir because I am doing one or two things. I'm not with the choir, but I'm hoping to connecting with them soon so that we can do a lot of things.
Okay.
Yes.
Just very quickly, do you know what Kasua stands for? Is it the location, a name of a location in Ghana?
Kaswa is one of the most prominent towns. If I'm not afraid to say, it's actually the most popular town in the central region of Ghana. And so we named the choir after the town.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because the word Kasua also occurs in one of the languages in Nigeria. In the Hausa language, Kasua means market. But that's fine.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Kaswa is a word that means market. And so for the history that I read, I think the place was like a market zone, and so people used to come and trade and all that, and so that is how the name of the town was gotten. Like from the fact that the place was a marketing area.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it's typically spelled Kasua. Typically, but not always. You know how our languages are.
Oh, okay.
Sua.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure there are those who will say it's spelled Kasua, and so on. But when I was growing up, it was Kasua, Kasua.
Okay, we spell it Kasoa.
Okay. See, this is so interesting. When you cross from one country to another, you find a word that means the same thing. That's so interesting to hear.
Differently.
Spelled slightly differently. Brilliant. We have gone over our 45 minutes. Thank you very much to everyone. You have quite a few people watching you and people dropping comments, positive comments of encouragement. You are a very well and widely performed composer. That is not easy. I can tell you, to find support, to get people interested in your works and people who are happy to perform your works. It's absolutely brilliant. Well done. Keep up the good work. Do you have any suggestions for other African composers when it comes to being performed, getting their works performed?
Well, I would say that they should produce the best. They should learn more. In fact, I'm also still learning. I want to learn to the highest level when it comes to composition, because it's one of the areas I find, one of the areas aside mathematics where my interest lies so much. And so I want to learn composition to the highest extent, to whichever extent possible. And so my advice to other composers in Africa and across the world, if anybody is watching, is to read more and try to write beautifully. Yeah, to write beautifully.
Okay. We will round up the interview very soon. I want to open up, I guess I'll leave this last question as an open one. If there's anything you have in mind that you've always wanted to say, in addition to the advice you just gave as an African composer, any messages you've always wanted to pass generally, feel free to say that now.
I want to appreciate the efforts of everybody who has loved my compositions. There have been so many people whom I've worked with. I can't mention all of them, and I'll mention a few. First of all, I want to give thanks to, in fact, the number one person is Mr. James Varikama. He's always been inspiring me with regards to my work, and so I want to thank him so much for his efforts to always encourage me to write more. In fact, some of his encouragements have actually led to my seriousness and my eagerness to compose very beautiful songs. And so I thank him so much for that. I also thank Mr. Emmanuel Owusu. He's also been so good. Sometimes I write a song, I give it to him. He just listens and he just inspires me. He tells me your works are so good and so you should press on with them. And yeah, so I thank him so much. I thank Mr. Solomon Apo. He's also been so supportive of my composition, would I say ministry, of my music ministry. And a couple of them, I've worked with so many people. I want to thank them so much. And I want to thank everyone who in one way or the other has helped me to bring out some of the songs. The pianist, I have a friend, Henry Akpesieji. He's a very good pianist and he's recently been pushing the songs so well. He once played my song and then he started requesting for more. And so I want to thank him so much. He's also contributed to the spread of the songs and everyone that has. I want to also thank Kofi Martin so well. He's one of the pioneering individuals who have actually helped me to actually expose the songs to the general public. He's played so many. In fact, he's the pianist who has played so many of my songs, and he's done so good. And he plays every note right on point. He never misses a note, and so I want to thank him so much for that. Yes.
Okay.
And everyone.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's been really interesting talking to you. Thank you for giving us your time and for engaging with us. Thank you to all those who are watching us live, to anybody who will watch this interview later. Thanks to all those who have been engaging, sending in comments. We hope to follow up, follow along with you, along with your progress, and we wish you success musically, mathematically, and in your work around psychology. We couldn't talk too much about what you studied at university because of the time we had to spend on this interview, the limited time. But yes, we wish you success going forward with everything that you do. Hope you keep safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the weekend. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.